Marshawn is a freshman breath of air. He just loved chain restaurants.
Matter of fact, he ate at Applebee's 12 times during the 5 week. I love each and most of you guys.
That really is still swollen, isn't it? It kind of looks like a football, actually.
Thank you for that.
Stitching you guys.
Thank you.
Look,
Hey, D! I like donuts, baby! Let's go!
Stay focused. Work hard in school. You might not like school, but make sure you're working hard at school.
Them bills are problems. Them bills are problems.
It's your boy DM3, and you're listening to the Witty Not Funny Sports Podcast on the Built in Buffalo Podcast Network.
Witty Nation, welcome everyone to Witty Not Funny Sports Live. We are, of course, the number one self-rated Buffalo sports podcast, covering the Bills, Sabres, entertainment, and everything in between. And as always, part of the Built-in Buffalo Network. Make sure you go follow us at Witty Sports 716 on Twitter and Instagram, and maybe TikTok for like a day or two more at Witty Sports, Witty Not Funny Sports. And make sure you go check out everything Built-in. What? We can TikTok. We tick and we talk.
Oh, okay, good.
We more tick than talk.
We took. Every time I click, it's $9.95 to book.
Make sure you go check out everything Built in Buffalo is giving you every single day the best Bills content out there. Even when, knock on wood, it's metal, but we'll pretend it's wood. Even if it's the off season, make sure you follow Built in Buffalo for all your great content. And thank you again for tuning into this show. If you have not yet, please hit that like, please hit that subscribe. Show us some love. We always love the support. So thank you everyone for tuning in and taking a second to hit that like. If you have not yet, make sure you go check out teespring.com/wittyNOTfunny or teespring.com search wittyNOTfunny or Google search Teespring wittyNOTfunny and check out all the apparel in our store. T-shirts, hoodies, crew necks, long sleeves. We got them all sizes, all colors. We got something for everyone. So make sure you go check it out. Support the pod today. We're your host, of course. I am Matt. He is Tony. Tony, how are we doing?
Matt, we're doing it.
We're doing it. We're back in the division round.
It's the division round. We're back in the division round. And who is it? It's the Ravens. Division round from history. It's the Ravens. This year remains a mystery. It's the Ravens. Weather once again is blistery. And it's the Ravens. Hoping for a victory. Yeah. Man, I didn't watch the show. I don't know if that's what the theme song, if that was close enough to the theme song.
The Severance theme song?
Oh, if only.
You should write a song to the Severance tune.
I think that's a great idea.
It'd be great.
I'll have to see if, as long as I clear with Raven Simone.
That's so Raven.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Speaking of Severance, you're rocking your Defiant Jazz t-shirt.
Yeah, that's what I should do the parody to is to Defiant Jazz, which is called Shaky Legs or something like that. Shaky something.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, Severance is back this week, and we are super pumped. That's our 30 seconds of non-sports talk. If you have not watched Severance, go watch Severance. It's amazing. And once this offseason kicks in, we are becoming like an 80%.
It will be the Witty Not Funny
Severance show. So Severance episode reviews every week. I familiar territory for these Buffalo Bills. We're going to cut the fat this week, Witty Nation. We're going to get right into it, talking about the Bills Broncos wildcard matchup from last Sunday, and then this upcoming Bills Ravens, the battle of the MVPs. They say it's a divisional round, and it truly is a divisional round because there is a lot of division within Bills Mafia, within national media of how this team is going to perform come Sunday, Tony. But before we move forward, we always have to look back, and let's talk and start with, of course, the Broncos game. Tony, you went to the game, correct?
I did go to the game.
How was it? How are the vibes? We always
Very
talk about
good.
the vibes to start off.
Vibe show. Very good vibes.
Okay.
Very good neighbors around us. The towel. What was jarring about the towels? I shouldn't say jarring. What was interesting about the towels is that um, they gave like they gave us free towels. They gave us like
Oh.
rally towels.
Yeah.
I didn't see a single person rallying with these rally towels. We all got the towels, folded them nicely, and placed them in our pockets, and that was the end.
Very good.
That was the end of it. Like no one
I was gonna say I didn't see
spread
anyone
any
like
towels.
swinging their towels like Petey
Yeah, I
Pablo
know.
out there.
It wasn't. It was not that. Like I think we're just. I think we as a Bills fan base have evolved past rally towels, and they can give them to us or not. They're not in use.
Keep giving them, Bills organization. We appreciate them.
Yeah, I do. And I mean, I have like a bulletin board in my classroom of all the towels I've accrued over the
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
that Terry or
Look at you.
given me.
That's nice. That's nice. So vibes were good.
Mhm.
A lot of like the pregame pessimism from media, I would say, even from Bills fans. I don't know if there was in. Let me know what you think. Was it more of there was a confidence that the Broncos were this plucky underdog, or was it more like, for example, Nate Burleson on CBS pregame picked the Broncos to win against the Bills. So was it more of the Broncos being plucky underdogs and kind of riding this good play into the playoffs and maybe a no one believes in us attitude? Or was it more people don't know if they can trust the Bills or if they can't trust that the Bills are good yet? What do you think?
For me, I was nervous. I was nervous going in, and I thought there was a very real
Yeah.
possibility of us losing. And I just
Right.
kind of thought it
As there
was
always is.
because I watched the Broncos, and the Broncos looked really good, and Bo Nix looks very sharp, and it seemed like it, and overall, it seemed like it could have been a trap game for us. And what scared me the most was the attitude that many had off the field. Maybe osmosising its way onto the field in the sense that of like, oh yeah, well we always make it to the divisional round, so the wild card round is just a
Right.
gimme, you know.
Right.
So luckily, after we were able to make the adjustments after that snafu at the beginning in the first drive, and
Yeah.
it was a lot
The
of fun
long
after
bomb.
that. Yeah, maybe that was good. Maybe that was like a wake up call, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like I said after Bo Nix's long bomb to Troy Franklin on the first drive there, the Oregon Ducks connection there. I'm like, oh no, another one of these type of game, like where I just have to
Right.
be on the edge of my seat. It like those first, even like the first half, I would say, because it wasn't a great first half from the Bills. Yes, they dominated time possession. We'll get into that a little more as we move along here, but I mean, it was what 10-7 at halftime.
Yeah, and it could have been 10-10. The Broncos missed the field goal.
Right, and they didn't and they didn't do anything off that fake punt.
Mhm.
So it's like it had a lot of signs of like the Dolphins wild card matchup a couple years ago when Skylar Thompson came in and we're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
we're going to win this game." Like Skylar Thompson, there's no way he can beat us. He's a practice squad quarterback and they almost beat us. And I'm not saying that Bo Nix is bad because I think he's going to be a very good quarterback and I think there's a lot of things Broncos fans can lean on moving forward. They have a rookie, good quarterback on a rookie salary. They have a lot of salary cap opening up. They have, I think, the second youngest team in the league. So it's like, again, as we mentioned last week, like they felt like they were playing with house money, and it kind of showed in those first couple drives. A long bomb to Franklin, the fake punt conversion. It's like they're throwing everything at us and kind of throwing us for a loop. And maybe the Bills aren't ready for this. So it was a very nerve-wracking first hour and a half of this football game. It seemed like the Bills just it was almost like they felt like they were on cruise control to me. And
I
just like
think a
you said,
lot
it
of
felt
first
like
halves.
they
I think
thought
a
they were
lot of first
going
halves
to
seem
win
that
this
way.
game.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
first
I
halves seem
guess.
like they're on cruise control, but they always. But I think every halftime that we've had, they think they're going to win the game. maybe except for the Ravens game.
Right. And I will say that is, I mean, that might be the blessing and the curse of this year's iteration of the Bills team, is that they have made halftime adjustments immaculately throughout the year, for a majority of the year, I should say. I'll like sans the Ravens game, but typically they start slow, and Josh even mentions this a lot when he gets interviewed post game. It's like, we started off slow, and I should have completed some throws and executed a little better, but we picked it up in the second. Josh has that rhetoric often this season, so it is a weird place to be in as a Bills fan, because you want to be pessimistic by nature of just like, crap, here we go again, a Billsy game where it's close to the end and anything can happen and we just can't pull away or, stake claim to a victory here. But you're also like, halftime, they're really good at making adjustments. So I feel semi-confident. Like that's all I said going into halftime of this game, of like, just going with the lead. We double dip on the tail end of the first half and the beginning of the second half because we got the ball and they took advantage of it. Like, that touchdown to Curtis Samuel might have been the turning point of this game, because like I said, it was close up until even late into the third quarter. And Sean McDermott rolled the dice on a couple fourth downs, knowing they're the better team, and Josh made some plays and some other players made some plays, and when their name was called upon, they executed. So it's just a weird position to be in. But as we'll talk about later with the Ravens game, I don't think it's a position they want to be in with this Ravens team, because unlike the Ravens, the Broncos aren't as good right now, so they can afford those mistakes. And we talked about this going into the playoffs of like, who are the matchups where they can afford the mistakes and not be punished ultimately in a loss for them. This Ravens team is not one of those instances. If you make mistakes and you kind of come out slow and like that's a steep hill to climb back up. So I'm very intrigued. But this game was in a vacuum here. Very good. They dominated time of possession. They ran the ball and they kind of bullied the Broncos, which I've wanted to see for the past couple of years, of just kind of setting the tone. Like, we've seen so many times where they haven't set the tone. I mentioned like the Miami wild card game or the Bengals DeMar Year game. Like, they just don't set the tone, and they kind of fall behind early and they can't make up for it. So they set the tone. They dominated time of possession. They executed plays when they needed to. They made the right adjustments, and most of all, as we mentioned last week, we broke the curse of OJ, I think, here.
Yes. A Bronco is the white Bronco situation.
White Broncos
was once a Ford, then became a Knicks, and we've got ourselves back to reality after long last. My childhood is saved.
Back to life, back to reality.
Yeah, I would say, to your point, like the vibes and the feeling that I got was in the first half, I was never really worried about the offense. I'm like, well, the offense, if it's close enough, the offense can always turn it on, and that's whatever. But the defense, every time, I was more worried about the Broncos offense and how sharp they can be in their big playability and their ability to get large chunks when they want to. So every time we stopped them, every time the Broncos punted, it was like such a huge relief for me and for my life. It's like, all right, that's another one, because without those, like they really could have. There was always a fear for me that the Broncos would run up the score, and luckily, the adjustments made by Bobby Babich really, really paid off, or forced into it by Bobby Babich, because I do think that that Troy Franklin touchdown was kind of a miscommunication, kind of just a mistake on the part of the safeties, but they got their act together.
It was a when it happened and they showed the replay, I said it was literally a carbon copy of during the Texans game, the Nico Collins long touchdown, where Rasul Douglas is like chasing the receiver because he thought there was over the top help, and he's kind of looking at the safety. In this case, it was Taylor Rapp. In the Texans game, it was Cole Bishop, of like, hey, where are you? So it was literally a carbon copy of that play, which is interesting. So
they know. Don't tell Lamar.
Yeah, don't tell the Ravens that. that were susceptible to the inseam deep route.
Right.
But I mentioned players when their name's been called executing. I don't think there's been a better example of that than Ty Johnson this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I said Curtis Samuel's touchdown at the beginning of the fourth quarter was the turning point of the game, but because it kind of like broke the floodgates open of like, okay, we go up 3 scores, and now, in the fourth quarter, there's not really a chance for the Broncos to come back. But if it wasn't for that Ty Johnson touchdown towards the end of the third quarter, because that's a 4th down play, 4th and 1. You think Josh is going to run it. He doesn't, and he kind of just backyard footballs it, and he's getting a lot of time in the pocket, and he just throws a prayer up there, and it's Ty Johnson in the back of the end zone, your 3rd down running back, 40 yards down the field in the back of the end zone, and just an amazing display of bodily balance, I guess. I don't even know how to describe it, where I think we should do like a John Brinkus sports science like breakdown, because if you look at the picture and zoom in, and for those who know Ty Johnson, what's his 2 traits that stand out? Neck tattoos, but in this case, more importantly, the hoop nose ring. I want to direct you to the hoop nose ring, Tony.
Okay, please do.
That extra weight of the hoop nose ring causes his body to fall forward and keep his upper body inbounds, while also, like a fulcrum, keeping his back feet up. The nose ring maybe saved our season.
That's a bold physical. You're right. Is what I'm saying. We are seeing the laws of physics here. Yeah, it is the 5 metal balls hitting.
Yes.
That is happening in inertia. In the inertia of the nose ring. Inertia.
I think the Bills have went a step further than sports analytics and sports data, and are now incorporating physics and science into their game planning. This is happening. Why else would you sign Ty Johnson?
Where the stadium is all in
right. The gravitational pull.
Right.
It's a real lost scenario. There's probably a hatch somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised. But
Russ Brandon is down in the hatch resetting the gravitational pull.
Yeah.
Of the stadium every what? Yeah. What was the loss? Every 12 hours or something?
Is that what it was?
I don't remember.
I was gonna say that's why it's going to be snowy weather on Sunday. He has to go down to that like snowy closet and turn the old wheel.
Turn the old dial.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's right. Russ, if anybody was wondering where Russ Brandon was these days, he's controlling the gravitational pull of the
yeah.
Actually, what was the wheel for in laws? It was like to reset time, right? If I remember correctly.
Did we ever even know? I don't know.
I thought it was to reset time. So maybe if the Bills lose, Russ Brandon can go down and turn the frozen wheel of destiny there, or whatever it was. But seriously, like we joke here, but Ty Johnson again, just stepping up when his name is called, and and Josh has done the diplomatic leader thing of praising him during post-game reviews and calling him the best 3rd down back in the league, and whatever, it's all semantics, but he might really be the best 3rd down back in the league, because again, like, he doesn't get a lot of snaps, he doesn't get a lot of chances to make plays, but when his number is called, he makes an impact. And even we saw it in the run game this week as well. Like, they had 200 yards on the ground. Ty Johnson had 44 yards on 9 carries. Like, when was the last time Ty Johnson had 9 carries in a game? I don't think he has this year. So it averaged almost 5 yards a carry. Like, he was just excellent. And like I said, 2 targets, 2 catches, one of those being a very crucial touchdown. I think there's no better example of a guy when his number is called making plays better than Ty Johnson this year.
I don't think that's a bold statement. He's been outstanding. He's really proven a lot with his feet and with his hands. he has really, and it's not like, at the beginning of the year, like, oh, it's either, oh, Ty Johnson is out there, like, okay, or it's like, why is Ty Johnson out there? And now we get it. Now we get it. He can really step up. He can really show you a thing or two. And on third down, like his number is like the last priority for a defensive coordinator, and it shouldn't be. But that's the beauty of Everybody Eats, is that everybody has a plate. Like everybody's good enough to be eating. So we're happy he's here. And for what you said about like 9 carries, I mean, yeah, a lot of that has to do with Ray Davis's injury, because he comes in at the end, is doing that a lot. But yeah, he really showed out and showed up. And and depending on what happens with Davis for this Ravens game, but we'll see. Maybe 12 carries.
Maybe
14 carries.
Whoa, let's not get crazy. We still have James Cook in the mix here. We want to give him the ball because he's very good. Yeah, I mean, Ray Davis obviously sadly suffered a concussion, and I don't know if any play, like maybe there's only like 2 or 3 players that have come back the following week out of concussion or gotten through concussion protocol for the following week. So there's a very high chance that Ray Davis does not play in this upcoming divisional round matchup here. So
you know what that means? If Ray Davis can't go, you know what that means?
What's that?
It's Frank Gore Jr. time.
Oh my gosh. What a story that would be. If Frank Gore Jr. is activated and scores a touchdown, like just a 1-yard touchdown. Like that'd be
barrels his way through as the bowling ball that he is.
What a story give me the Amazon Prime direct to video movie script right now.
I know.
That would be amazing. Frank Gore Jr., who I actually like.
Gore Jr.
What's that? Who would play Frank Gore Jr.?
Who's going to play Frank Gore Jr. in this movie?
Who would play Frank Gore?
Morgan Freeman.
Of course. Of course.
I'm trying to think of the oldest black actor.
Frank Gore Jr. would be played by the kid from Stranger Things.
I want to know who would also play Curtis Samuel, though, because he's who we're going to talk about.
Who would play Curtis Samuel? Curtis Samuel deserves a role in this movie, obviously, because, I mean, do we have to just ask the question that I think is on everyone's mind at this point of, did they, like, swindle us? Did they just save Curtis Samuel for the playoffs, knowing all along they had a weapon in their wide receiver room? And
all right, pump the brakes.
Like, we're not going to expose what we can do with Curtis Samuel during the regular season, because we know we're going to get to the playoffs and blah, blah, blah. The division stinks. We're going to win the AFC East. We're getting to the playoffs. Let's save Curtis Samuel for the wild card game in the playoffs. And like, I know it's a 1-game thing, but I kind of think Curtis Samuel might have an impact here on Sunday.
It's also 3 receptions, so let's pump the brakes a little bit. It's not like I would argue, yes, there was a big touchdown in this game, but I would argue he's done more in other games than
one other game.
But I don't want to say I'm wrong either, because I kind of always thought, as Josh and Joe Brady alluded to the idea that they were like keeping something in their back pocket, I was like, well, it's Curtis Samuel, clearly, because he's a dangerous name that we all know and like a diversified style athlete. So I'm like, well, it's got to be Curtis Samuel, and seeing what he can do and breaking him out with some stuff. And maybe it is, but maybe not, because he didn't really like do anything. I would say it is if he took a handoff, basically, is what I'm saying.
Right. It just seems like he shows up in these big games, though, because I'd say this is, and statistically, most yardage in a game this season, but as you alluded to, like 3 targets, 3 catches. But he, in terms of being his best game of the season, made the most of what was given to him. His previous best game of the season was against the Kansas City Chiefs. 5 receptions, 58 yards, and a touchdown. So it just seems like, and then like the rest of the games this season are like 1 catch here, 2 catches there, 20 yards here, 8 yards there. This guy just steps up for big games. Like, is that what it's come down to? It's like big game Curtis Samuel?
I hope so, because we need all
It's
the
all
help we
just
can
big
get.
games from now on.
Yeah, it's all big games from now on. So I hope so. And I hope that, if it's Curtis Samuel against the Ravens' fourth or fifth corner
Yeah,
that
right.
they have, like, I'll take that matchup all day.
Yeah, that's a good point. And like, it's not like your number one receiver is Curtis Samuel. He's your
Right.
fourth, fifth option here. So that feels like a matchup they can expose, especially, I mean, his touchdown against the Chiefs and his touchdown against the Broncos this past weekend were eerily similar in terms of he lines up on one side of the field and runs all the way across the field and finds himself open. I mean, if that's the only route you assign to him, that's fine. Like, that's the only route he should be running because A, he's going to get lost in the mix. B, he's going to be faster than the guy. Like, as you said, him going against their nickel or dime or even getting him on a linebacker, that feels like a mismatch being your fourth, fifth option. So again, that's why I feel like if the game plan is utilized correctly, if it's right, Curtis Samuel can be a weapon moving forward. I kind of thought that role would be Keon Coleman. I don't know why, because I like the idea of especially
Someone
in the
tall doing
playoffs,
it.
just a guy, no, just a guy winning like those one-on-one jump battles, those contested catches. I feel like that's an important attribute to have when it comes to playoffs. For some reason, I don't know why I correlated those things, but so I thought Keon Coleman was going to be the guy that's like, oh, like that's the surprise guy. That's the guy that can be something. But if it's Curtis Samuel, I don't care. Good. And again, if he steps up only for for the postseason here, better, because I am all for it, because he is a weapon. We've seen it throughout his career. We've seen it in his Carolina days, even in his Washington football team days. He can, if he's utilized the right way, he can be an asset. So again, maybe Joe Brady in his masterful ways just saved him for the playoffs, and I'm all for that. Joe Brady, by the way, incredible game plan. Boris agrees.
Boris agrees. Boris is already freaking out about Joe Brady's game plan. He knows.
Boris is a
Boris?
big Joe Brady fan.
He is. He's a big Brady head.
He is a big Brady. Aren't we all these days, though? Honestly, like
I kind of think so. Yeah.
I know the Broncos were a wild card team, 10-7, and maybe happy to be there, and they reached their peak. But in terms of efficiency, we talk about some of the most efficient games in Buffalo Bills history. We look back at like the perfect game against the Patriots in the wild card a couple of years ago. But this game, you look at the stats up and down the board, team stats or individual stats, over 200 yards rushing, time of possession was over 40 minutes. Josh Allen was 20 for 26, just maybe the most efficient game, considering the first half, they only scored 10 points. Like, it never felt like, despite scoring 10 points, I guess is a better way of saying it, that they were not in control of this game.
I disagree. The first half did not feel, control is a strong word that I wouldn't use for the first half.
Okay.
Second half, I'm like, well, we're probably going to come out flat in the second half because we usually do. Like, second half comes out, we defer so that we can go back to back and get the ball coming in the second half. But then I feel like we always like blow it. It's just like, all right, well, we go 3 and out every time anyway. But luckily this time we stepped up. And I think a lot of that also has to do with a report from my wife, football analyst, that Josh in the very beginning had crazy eyes. And we all know what we mean when Josh has crazy eyes. Like, we see it. He's crazy eyes. He doesn't he's not good at performing there, and then he relaxes. And so when he relaxed, like, that's when it kind of happened. My fear for this Sunday's game is that Ravens, a lot of pressure, already have a loss behind us, a lot of talk, a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Will he be able to ditch the crazy eyes?
Yeah. I don't. Is the crazy eyes related to the past couple of weeks?
The crazy eyes relates to his whole career.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking, like, these past couple of weeks especially, my first thought when they showed Josh in the pregame, whether it's warming up or stretching, whatever. I'm just like, he's looking a little unkept. Like he needs a haircut, he needs a shave, and I don't know if it's just a superstitious thing where he's not going to do this. It's like a hockey playoff beard, but I'm hoping like his unkeptness doesn't lead to a lackadaisicalness in terms of preparing for games or being ready. Like I was just
Oh.
like that's the of course the pessimistic Bills fan and all of us just nitpicking every little thing we possibly can to reason why we may play badly or the results may not be what we want them to be. It's like, oh, we lost because Josh didn't get a haircut in the past 4 months. He's become a lazy slob like White Goodman at the end of dodgeball.
This is an interesting take that you think like I put that on myself, superstition wise. I am scared to death because I'm probably going to end up going to get my tailgate food tomorrow morning instead of the night before, and that's not routine. And I'm like, if we lose, I'll blame myself that I went the morning of and not the night before.
It is your fault.
I will blame myself.
One guy we can't blame is Mr. Vibes himself, the immaculate vibe man himself, Mac Hollins.
Oh, okay. Not who I thought we were talking about. I thought you were talking about Vibes Levy himself, Marv Vibes Levy.
No, we'll get some vibes.
Okay.
Marv is a vibe, though. You are absolutely right.
Yeah,
I was talking about Mac Hollins because for a guy who was on a 1-year prove-it deal, he has ingratiated himself to this city, to this culture, and to this team. And I say immaculately because he has immaculately just become Buffalo. Like, it started with the shoeless thing, and it was a quirky little thing that we all kind of latched onto, but it has just evolved into so much more.
He's a cult leader.
And everything this man does, I am all about. Whether it's coming to the game dressed up as Fred Flintstone, and whether it's during the game, blowing up Marvin Mims on a punt return, or stepping over, I don't even know the defender, the DB from the Broncos, after a catch was made, like he's Allen Iverson, just doing the step over and like you're too small kind of celebration and gesture. When I said after the Bengals playoff game that the Bills needed some a-holes on the team, I feel like Mac Hollins is filling this role nicely.
Because Mac Hollins fills, like, if he'll play whatever role you need him to play.
Right, he's a chameleon.
He's a master of disguise.
Yes, like Dana Carvey.
Right,
master of
disguise.
disguise.
That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Second Dana Carvey reference of the episode. It's really
really. What was the first? Did I miss the first?
Megatoe, Megata, Megati, Megatu. Every time
yes,
that's $9.95 for
you. Big Dana Carvey episode.
Big Dana Carvey episode. And there's more to come.
I know you don't watch Saturday Night Live, but like Dana Carvey's been on Saturday Night Live for the past. Oh, you do? I didn't know.
Yeah.
He's just been like hanging around Saturday Night Live for the past like 4 months for no reason.
He's been playing Biden, right?
Yeah, he plays Biden, but then like, he shows
up and does other stuff. Yeah.
He's just like, I'm gonna hang out for the next 4 months later. Like, oh, we gotta write in Dana somehow. He's just living in the closet, the costume closet. Yeah. Big Dana Carvey episode. But Mac Hollins just complete vibes, and that has me optimistic about moving forward because we do have those a-holes on the team, whether it's Mac Hollins or Alec Anderson or Spencer Brown. I feel like nobody is going to come in, especially on our home turf, which, by the way, Ravens special teams coach, defensive coordinator, I don't even know what you are. Our turf is not heated. He thought we had like some high-tech heated turf. No, this is Buffalo. We just got a Chick-fil-A 6 years ago. We are way behind on the time.
Wait a couple years before you think this heated field comes around.
I think the new stadium will have it, but you're looking at a stadium that is about a year and a half away from the 300 level just collapsing into itself
Yeah.
based
I mean,
on architectural integrity reports.
something I
We do
fantasize about every
not
time I'm
have
up
heated
there.
field.
No.
We do not have a heated field, sir. We are Buffalo's about 5 years behind on like national trends. Like I said, we just got a Chick-fil-A like 6 years ago. Like, well, the whole rest of the country had them 10, 15 years ago. So no heated field. But I feel like on that field we do have that might be frozen this coming Sunday, we do have the a-holes we need to kind of set the tone when it comes to these playoff games, or to be a bully like we were this game, just pushing the Broncos defensive line, who is formidable. Like, they're good, most sacks in the league, and high DVOA. Like, they're a good defense, and especially a good defensive front. Patrick Surtain, all pro cornerback. Like, we bullied them, whether it was going with an extra lineman in Alec Anderson or just going with the front five that has been very good this year. Thank you, Aaron Cromer, for all that. I feel like we have the a-holes I've been looking for now, and we can bully our way or set the tone or dictate how we want the game to go based on our personnel.
So, do you think this upcoming game will be a bully game or a finesse game?
I'm saying a bully game.
It's a bully game. All right.
I'm saying
I'll buy it. Okay.
Hit him. Like, it's funny because you look at like Derrick Henry's stats and the games that we've gotten blown out, whether he was in Tennessee or Baltimore, and we'll talk about like keys to the game later on this for this upcoming divisional round game here. But like, Derrick Henry typically doesn't do gangbusters against Bills defenses. He might pop off for like an 80-yard run, and that's kind of the killers. But if you kind of mitigate that, he's not really that effective typically on average. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it this week, and we'll talk more about that later on. But what do you think about like just these kind of I don't even like, how do I describe different characters we have on the team this year, whether it's a Mac Hollins or an Alec Anderson, who is like a walking personal foul penalty, or even Taylor Rapp, who this game also, I always describe Taylor Rapp as just like a human missile because he's just waiting to just destroy someone. And he almost did this game. I don't know when it was. It was a pass on the sideline, but it was overthrown, and the guy from the Broncos dove for it. I don't know if it was Sutton or Mims or Vele, but Taylor Rapp was like, if he made contact with the guy, that was easily a defenseless receiver penalty. Like, he's just hunting out there like Dante Hittner used to do back in the day. So, but to that point, like, good. Like, make the quarterback second guess making those throws, make the defensive line second guess going into the trenches on a blitz with Alec Anderson if he's going to maul you and destroy. Like, make the defense think about this stuff. I that is a reason to be optimistic moving forward to me. These kind of characters we have on the team.
Make the defense fear for their own lives.
I love it. Intimidation. That's a little
really,
giant.
Yeah. I should say make the offense. Make the opposing offense fear for their own lives.
Yeah.
Or I see what you mean. The defense in the case of Alec Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know. I never really thought about it that way. Obviously, Taylor Rapp has an exceeding amount of confidence from the helmet.
From the Guardian cap, yep.
Yeah, from the Guardian cap. Let's get more Guardian cap.
Human cheat code.
Does your car work like mine, that sometimes the little thing lights up that says passenger side airbag disabled?
Always.
Okay. So then like a passenger comes in and they're
I haven't passed a car inspection in 5 years.
Right. So then a passenger comes in like, oh shit, no airbag. What is he planning on doing to me?
Should I tell him?
Shit, it's not safe for me here. The airbag's disabled.
Right.
And that's what should happen with this Guardian cap. It should be, a Guardian cap should just be changed around and be like, why is Matt Milano wearing a Guardian cap this play? What are they planning on doing?
Right.
What a
Just switch it
psychological
up.
game. Yeah.
Right.
Just say it up. Like,
It's
why isn't it?
it's the
He's gonna
I love
throw
this.
he's gonna throw his body and he's gonna fucking kill me, isn't he?
Right.
Maybe it. He's got that guardian
Boy,
cap on.
wait,
He's
why is he wearing the
not afraid
guardian
of
cap
anything.
now? I love this idea. It's a
Mhm.
D2 Mighty Ducks. The goalie's the shooter.
Yeah, the goalie,
Switch
right.
the jerseys, switch the guardian caps. I love it.
Mhm.
Throw the whole like you saw it in D2. And movies, of course, we know are based on real life
And they won the
scenarios,
gold.
circumstances, and results.
Mhm.
They threw Iceland for a loop. They didn't know the goalie was a shooter. A quick jersey swap in the middle of a huddle. Nobody was paying attention.
Maybe that's
I
what we
love
should
this
do. Do a
idea.
jersey swap
Switch the
too.
guardian
Mhm.
cap around.
Yeah.
Switch the guardian cap around. Who's wearing it this time? Like, imagine just Lamar, like, instead of calling out coverage schemes, is just like looking
Uh-huh.
around of like who's wearing the guardian cap.
Right.
Like he's
That
gonna
guy's gonna fucking
forget the
kill you.
play at this point. That's way too much to think about. I
Mhm.
love this idea.
That's what I do.
That-
Send it to
that's
Babbage, baby.
playing that's playing checkers that's playing chess when
That's
people are playing
playing chess.
checkers.
Yeah.
Love
play a
it.
lot of
Bobby
checkers in
Babbage, if
Baltimore,
you are
not up
listening,
here.
we have means to think like we've seen in the past. Like we think some players either listen to the show, watch the show, or get word of ideas from this show. We've
This
been
is
the
the one.
originators of a couple things
Mhm.
that have kind of translated its way into Bill's training camp and what, for example, like the punter who shall not be named, calling him the hold god. Like we originated
Oh yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it made its way into like training camp. And I was like, what? So like we have a history of thinking that players or someone's listening to this show and train. So Bobby Babbage, whoever's listening to the show from the Bills organization, if you can give word to Bobby Babbage to switch the guardian caps around every play.
Yeah.
I think that's a great strategy.
Game. Mhm.
We know Harbaugh. Well, both Harbaughs get confused easily. We saw it,
Yeah.
whenever the Ravens played, it was the Patriots. It was probably 10 years ago or so, and like Belichick was throwing like these exotic offensive schemes out there with like 7 offensive linemen and eligible receiver and like all this wacky stuff. And Harbaugh was like, he pulled a Lamar Jackson and had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the game because he crapped himself. He didn't know what to do. He admitted to that, I think, afterwards. So yeah, switch the guardian cap around. That's something they're not expecting. I like that idea.
No.
It is very good. That is one we can take to the bank, and not just for this game. I say we roll it into next season. By the way, did you watch the Packers game last week?
Nope.
Packers Eagles. So Romeo Dobbs, the Packers receiver, wears a guardian cap because he's had a history of concussions and went out of the game with a concussion. Do you think the guardian cap PR team was like, oh crap, we're screwed?
Yeah, we gotta suppress this. We gotta suppress this.
We need to make them thicker and heavier and more bulbous.
Inflated. Yeah. Like, can we reach out to that other giant hat company and do a partnership?
Well, the giant hat company, yeah.
Yeah.
Giant hat guardian caps.
Yeah.
Noggin Boss, that's the giant hat company.
Noggin Boss, right? Can we reach out to Noggin Boss?
Yeah, I like those giant hats.
That's a cross promotion waiting to happen.
Oh, absolutely. So the Bills end up winning 31-7. Really, I mean, that's all the notes I had for this game. Like after that initial touchdown and kind of after the first half adjustments were made, the Bills, like I said, were kind of in cruise control. The defense played great. Matt Milano looked like he was his normal Matt Milano self. The pitch count that Von Miller was on throughout the regular season seemed to be working quite well because he looked effective and fresh in this wild card round. So I liked what they did. Obviously, they won, which is the most important thing. And we move on here, Tony. What any cause for concern coming out of this Broncos game that you might want to mention?
I mean, I always thought the quote unquote slow starts were sort of by design, or just sort of by just
I like this
by the tone of how we do the first half and figuring things out, and scripting plays, and I just kind of always thought that was sort of how it was until we blow up in the second half. But then to hear Josh use the phrase "slow start" confirms that I was wrong and that they are slow starts, and that maybe we are supposed to have the pedal to the metal in the first half because we're going to need
Right.
to next week.
We are absolutely going to need to.
We're
Are you ready to talk about the
basically
Ravens game?
I mean, yeah, because we all know the strategy that we have to win is we just have to throw another perfect game, and it's going to have to be a
Absolutely.
touchdown on every drive.
That's very easy. So the
let's talk
Bills
about the
win
Ravens game.
31-7. Move on to the divisional matchup against the Ravens game. What do you say we catch our breaths for a second here? Send it to Mr. Vibes himself, Marv.
Vibes Levy, baby.
Puts the V in vibes. Marv Levy. Marv Vibes Levy.
Yep.
Marv, take it away. We'll be back after the break.
So go, Bills fight, Bills go. Come on, let's win for Buffalo.
And we are back. Thank you, Marv, of course. What a scholar and a gentleman coming on our show every week to serenade us like that. Tony, before we move on to the Ravens game, I just want to give quick congratulations to Coach Sean McDermott, who I feel like gets overlooked for Coach of the Year often. And this isn't the official NFL Coach of the Year, but he did win this week the Earl Greasy Neal Coach of the Year award. Is given to the most outstanding coach in pro football. So I guess the UFL is considered here as well. But it's given by
There's
the
some talented
prestigious.
coaching happening over there.
There is some talented coaching. Jeff Fisher, Mr. Mediocrity. It's given by the prestigious Maxwell Football Club. So prestigious, I've never heard of them.
Maxwell? Is that like
Maxwell.
a company? Is it like, isn't there a Maxwell like sports equipment company?
What is the Maxwell
Is that
Football
what that
Club?
is?
There used to be Vernon Maxwell.
I don't know.
But congratulations to Sean McDermott for winning this award. I was thinking, like, because I never heard of this award and I don't know how much merit it holds. I was thinking, like, the actual award is not a trophy, but you have to carry the nickname Greasy with you. Like, you get ownership of the nickname Greasy for the next year.
It'd be like a Denny's breakfast or something. Like that's what you get.
or people just have to call you Greasy. Like you go into the
Greasy McDermott.
You walk into the Greasy McDermott. I mean, he is bald. His head's kind of greasy, but you like walk into the Bills office and the secretary's like, "Hey, Greasy, have a good day." Like I think that'd be a good way to celebrate this award. So congratulations to Sean McDermott. Tony, let's preview this Ravens matchup though before we wrap up here. Just again, let's start with vibes. We've talked a little bit about the Ravens. I have never more than this week when it comes to going into any Bills game, whether it's a playoff game, regular season game, whatever, flip-flopped more on how I feel about this game. Like one day I'll wake up and I'll be like, man, we got this. Like we're the underdog at home. Kind of nobody believes in us. Everyone's talking up the Ravens with Derrick Henry being almost a 2,000-yard rusher and Lamar having an MVP caliber season, one of his best statistical seasons of his career. But man, the Bills are a wagon. They can't score less than 30 points. Josh is playing at a stupid good level. Defense is healthy, coming together. Like, and then the next day I'll be like, man, tackling Derrick Henry in 7-degree weather sounds pretty awful. And I don't know if they can do it. So I have never, and I think just based on the pulse of Bills Mafia on social media, sharing the sentiment, I've never flip-flopped more in terms of being optimistic or pessimistic or feeling good or bad about a game than I have this Ravens game coming up.
Same in the sense that I've been calling it a coin flip. I think this game is a coin flip, which flips and flops as it flips through the air. So I have reason, my Bills-centric algorithm is giving me a lot of evidence as to why there's reason for hope. logic gives me a lot of evidence why there's not. It could go either way. I mean, I don't know. We're definitely gonna have to step up. We're definitely gonna have to play at a very high level, higher than we've been playing probably. So at least in the first half. But I'm also just like, I don't know. They lost 5 games. It's like they lost 5 games. There's like if you take out the big long run that happened last time for the Ravens, that Derrick Henry's numbers weren't that much of anything spectacular. I think the cold helps us, and changing the routine, like I said, my own superstition, the two ends of the spectrum that one can have for participation as a fan in the game, I think is probably number one is one end of the spectrum is going to the game. The other end of the spectrum is being as far removed from the game as you can. Man, last time we played the Ravens, I was in another country.
That's right. I remember
now
that.
I'm going to the game. The pendulum swings all the way back.
The pendulum swings all the way back. No, I do think those are great advantages. The weather being a weird advantage, because typically the weather is a disadvantage for
Well,
us.
it's a neutralizer. The weather's a neutralizer, is what it is.
Yeah.
Now it's just anything can happen,
I'm saying typically the weather is a neutral. You're absolutely right. The weather is a neutralizer in the fact that, like, if the Bills are going up against a worse team, like, it brings that worst team up to or the Bills down to that worst team's level, because who knows what can happen in the snow. We saw the Bills, if it does snow, play a very good game against the 49ers earlier in the year in the snow, which was one of the funnest games I've ever watched, with Josh Allen getting a receiving touchdown and just everything kind of clicking, and snow angels and all that defiant jazz going on. But to your point, like, the last time we played the Ravens in the regular season here, I would even go a step further. Yes, the Derrick Henry long run was kind of a killer, but that trick play, maybe the worst play call ever, with the pass back to Curtis Samuel and then the pitch back to Josh Allen to throw. I don't even know what was going on with that. And nobody did, and it was disaster. But at that point, the Bills were coming back. I think it was like 24-13, and then they were driving on that, and it all kind of fell apart there.
It was 21-10.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it was like, and as we're watching, we're like, if this becomes 21-17,
score here, yeah.
I'm like, this is something. Like an even. Yeah, that's something.
So I mean, just Joe Brady, no crazy trick plays this time. But it does feel like there's a kind of a nobody believes in us attitude of, I don't feel like a lot of people are picking the Bills to win this game. I think it will be a close game. These are two of the top easily 5 teams in the league, I'd say at this point. And you got 2 MVP caliber quarterbacks. I mean, it's gonna be a slobber knocker, as like Jim Ross said back in like the old WWE days.
It's a slobber knocker.
It's gonna be a slobber knocker.
I don't know what that means, but I do know what it means, because it's going to be an instant classic, probably. The pressure, I don't know, the pressure. Like, the pressure is high, and both teams are capable of stepping up within that pressure. And we'll probably look to this as a classic.
That's a good question. Like, who's the pressure more for?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
I think it's more for the Bills, like, obviously, because it feels like if they lose this game, there's going to be a lot of talk of just will they not miss, did they not that they missed their window, because I think the window is always open, but was it just the window came at a wrong time, where you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Lamar Jackson, and you just happen to have this generational quarterback in Josh Allen just at the wrong time. And that's kind of the narrative I want to avoid by losing this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be other good quarterbacks. Like, what do you want out of the deal? And
I just want Josh to have his flowers. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
me,
want the
yeah,
Super
of course, we all do. But
I don't want
I
him to
mean,
be the next Dan Marino.
I think that the talk will be is that with every year that comes this way, there's it hurts that much more because another like always losing in the divisional round. It
Right.
hurts more every single time because there's
Right.
always the talk of, there's always the thought of when and if can we get past the divisional round.
Right.
And
And do
so
you feel like after every divisional round loss, it's getting like further and further away from achieving the ultimate goal?
no.
No? That's
No, I
fair.
don't feel that way at all. But no, I don't.
I mean, I don't either, but I don't want Josh to be the next Dan Marino. I'm sorry. Like this
Well, no, of course
generational
not.
talents that just
Mhm.
cannot win the big one. And if anybody deserves to win the Super Bowl, it's this city, obviously,
Mhm.
for our history, and it's Josh Allen because
He's a
Josh
good
not only
dude.
is an incredible player, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's the NFL. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was kind of like, just like last year, how I think like the script was written that the Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl because the Taylor Swift thing, and like they wanted Taylor Swift to be
Yeah.
front and center on camera as much
Right.
as
Right.
possible, and for the viewership and whatnot. Uh, I was thinking about this. Like, it just feels like the NFL needs a new face of the NFL. Like, it's not Patrick
And you think,
Mahomes anymore. I feel like Patrick Mahomes is kind of like old news. Like
yeah,
people, as
too
the
much
years
to give
go
him.
on, dislike him more and more.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
his family's not that great. Like, but Josh Allen, like wholesome, charismatic, going to be wedded to a Hollywood A-list actress. Like he feels like he needs to be the new face of the NFL, and I feel
Mhm.
like, and I'm just kind of like writing, hopefully, wishing the NFL is writing that script as I'm thinking. Like we knew to Carl Schaefer's it was I think the referee crew this week. Josh is the new face of the NFL. We need the Bills to win the Super Bowl. So you do your
Mhm.
part. Like that's I hope the conversations that are going on. I want it to be the biggest conspiracy ever because we love our
That
conspiracies here.
we do love a good conspiracy theory on the show. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
I do think the Bills kind of throw some different looks. We saw it in the Ravens game this regular season. We saw a couple looks at a 4-3 with Nick Morrow, and yes, Bernard was out and Milano was out and Taron Johnson was out and Shakir gets hurt the first play. Like we had a lot of guys banged up that regular season matchup against the Ravens, who are healthy now. So, but they did throw a 4-3 look, and maybe that's uh, the cause and effect of nothing was working at that time. So let's just throw something new at it. But maybe a lot of talk about Dorian Williams playing a lot more in a 4-3 and stopping the run or going heavy up front. I kind of would like that. Like, I think, and if Dorian Williams is only there to spy Lamar Jackson, not to be in coverage, not to defend Mark Andrews and, in the middle of the field, but just spy Lamar Jackson. That is your only goal. And if you see him hand the ball off, go tackle Derrick Henry. If he's going back to pass, you spy him and make sure he doesn't get out of the pocket. And if he does, you chase him down. Because if anybody has the speed on that defense, especially in the second level, it's Dorian Williams out of I'd say the three. Like, dude runs as fast as a wide receiver in the 40s. So we might see that. I would like that, especially if we go run heavy, especially because the weather's cold. And if you watched the Ravens game last week, you saw a lot of zone RPO schemes where, Lamar can hand it off to Derrick Henry, he could take it himself, and it just confused the crap out of the Steelers. So I need the Bills to be like smart. When we talk about like keys to the game here, like I need the Bills three things for me. Mitigate the big plays. We talked about Derrick Henry. Maybe, the thing that's been the backbreaker in our history with Derrick Henry is these long 80-yard runs. And we know Lamar's prone to big plays. So mitigate the big plays, continue to win time possession like they did in this wild card round. maybe it's not a 40-20 that we saw in the wild card, but win the time of possessions, keep the offense on the field, extend the drives, and then subsequently get off the field on defense. Those are the three keys to me. The Broncos were 2 for 9 on third down in the wild card game. Bills have typically this season been very bad at getting off the field on third down. But if you want to win this game, you need to get Lamar and that offense off the field on third down. Somebody needs to step up and make a play on third down and get the ball back. Those are the three keys for me winning this game.
I agree with most of what you're saying. I have always been thinking really that the biggest thing was going to be efficient offense. And, like I alluded to, it's like, well, we're just going to score on every drive. But that comes with an efficient offense and dominating time possession, keeping Henry and Lamar off the field. I've been thinking a lot about that. And I've also been thinking about, will it be Dorian Williams? Or is he, do you take Dorian Williams and the speed of him and his instincts and his reactivity to it? Or do you take the size of Andreessen, who's probably more sound, because he would maybe have the more neutralizing. And really that's just kind of what roles do you want them to play? Do you want someone who's going to be in there as the extra guy because you're really trying to contain Derrick Henry? Or are you putting someone in there who's a little bit more an extra guy who's a little more twofold, who's going to be he's going to run inside, he's going to run outside. He's going to worry about Lamar and he's going to worry about Derrick Henry. And it's probably I don't know, that's a good luxury to have, because I would say it's probably going to be a split and it's probably going to be situational. But I do think, to your point, we're going to see a lot of 4-3 in having those guys out there, maybe a third of those two linebackers, and then Taron Johnson being in there normal. But it's going to be interesting to see Judge Dreads in his natural habitat of being able to just being able to unhinged sprint around, playing whatever role he wants, because that's what I'm saying. We know he does. Yeah,
you don't even have a position this game. You all the defensive scheming we've come up with this week in preparation for this game does not apply to you, Dorian Williams. You just go out there, wherever the ball is, you go to it.
See ball, get ball.
Yeah, it's his only role. I would love that. Wouldn't that be wild? What a story that would be if the Bills' secret weapon on defense is Joe Andreessen.
Oh my God, there was some big article about him I saw come across my social media.
That would be
unhinged. Lancaster would explode. Yeah,
Lancaster would explode. You'd see every major media outlet just funneling into Lancaster.
Yeah.
CNN is at Scoobs for a piece on Joe Andreessen.
CNN should probably go to Scoobs anyway. Expose about the bathroom.
About the tiles that cut your feet.
Yeah, that's a personal story. It's a personal story the listeners don't know. I cut my toe open in the Scoobs bathroom once. Okay, so
it's part of Scoob's illustrious history.
Yeah, it really is.
There's a little plaque that says here's where Tony sliced his toe open.
R.I.P.
in the bathroom. R.I.P.s. No, that would be great. I do think, though, bigger picture, they need to throw something, as we alluded to earlier, playing with the Guardian Caps, playing chess when they think you're going to play checkers.
Right.
I do think they need to throw something they haven't yet. And Sean McDermott has been fickle when it comes to changing it up. He is very staunch in the mentality of, well, we'll go with what got us here. And that is Taron Johnson, that is nickel, and he's been very reluctant to change that up. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays at this game.
Same, and I get that, because you want the consistency that you've grown into.
Yes.
You don't want all of a sudden be a change. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And so I agree. I don't. It just makes me. The whole thing makes me nervous, because that the matchup situation is how we get into that problem. That's why we just have to score a lot.
Yes.
Do you think this will be a high-scoring game?
I do. I actually do.
Okay.
I don't think the Ravens D is that good, especially in the second level. We talk about the linebackers, talk about Roquan Smith and Trent Simpson. They're good players, yeah, but they haven't typically been good in coverage this season. I don't think the secondary, sans Kyle Hamilton, is that good in coverage. Like, I think the Bills can do some damage, and Josh Allen could do some damage in the passing game here. That's why I look like to someone like Curtis Samuel to have another like decent game where he's effective. So I do think it's actually going to be a high scoring game, weather aside. Like if the weather is blistery and snowy and but if the conditions are good and it's just kind of cold out, I do expect there's to be some high scores. Tackling's a little tougher. The air's a little heavier, breathing's a little shorter. Like I feel like this is gonna be a high scoring game, which it feels very reminiscent of like those Chiefs playoff games. We talk about the 13 seconds game of like, who's the team that is just gonna get like 2-3 stops on defense?
Right.
And whoever that team is going to be the ones that come out on top. That's what it feels like to me. So we'll see. Hopefully the Bills in one of these historical games come out on the right side finally. It's not like a Justin Tucker last second send home field goal from 57 yards with 40 mile an hour winds. And of course he makes it, because why not?
Right.
Tony, other thoughts about this game before we move on to our final segment here and wrap it up?
Nope.
Just win, Bills.
Yeah,
please.
Just win. Just live to see
win,
another
baby.
day.
Tony, I thought we'd do something fun to wrap it up here. Baltimore is known for, and this is what the team is named after, Edgar Allan Poe. But because we're Buffalo, because we don't deal with some second-rate hot topic goth author of the past, we deal with cool,
A-list,
Americanized, A-list authors like Mark Twain, of course, who lived in Buffalo for a couple of years, and
a cup of coffee.
He's got Buffalo in his history here. I thought I would name some Mark Twain novels. Again, good authors we only talk about here. Go read, people. Just like A.J. Brown was reading on the sideline. Reading is achieving things. So go read. Name some Mark Twain titles, and then name the Bills player that I relate to it or that fits the bill here. And then you tell me on a scale of 1 to 5 how accurate that is.
Okay.
5 being
it's
the most
1
accurate.
to 5. It's got to be 1 to 5 somethings. It's got to be
1 to 5. 1 to 5. What?
It's like a Mark
Do we bring
Twain
back the Do we bring back the John Cordo success scale?
Oh yeah, well yeah, let's do that.
All right, back to the John Cordo success scale.
One of Mark Twain's favorite players.
Of course, we'll rate him on the John Cordo success scale, 1 to 5. 5 being most accurate, 1 being least accurate. Let's start off with Mark Twain's one of his most famous stories, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, about a mischievous young whippersnapper who goes on an adventure that includes many things, including witnessing a murder. And the player I chose is Josh Allen for this one, because just like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn and his best friend witnessing a murder, Josh Allen witnesses a lot of metaphorical murders that he creates himself because he's so darn good at football. So Josh Allen is the Tom Sawyer comparison. What do you think? 1 to 5 Cordos.
1 Cordo.
Oh no, not accurate.
Because Josh is not overtly racist.
Oh,
as a lot of
we can pull up school tweets.
As a lot of what you find, that's true. As a lot of what you find in The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Or wait, no, or is that Huckleberry Finn? Huckleberry Finn is the more racially charged.
Talk about the
one,
good
right?
aspects of these stories, Tony.
I don't really know them very well. I
give you a little brief description.
Huckleberry Finn is fresh in my mind from that Colin Jost routine where he starts reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and then just has to immediately stop because it's about to hit certain. All right, so does he witness a murder? I have to think. I'm trying to think. I'm like, well, who is more likely to witness an actual murder?
Hopefully no one.
Hopefully no one. I guess.
Hopefully no one. But
But
we
I
have
would
seen
say-
Josh Allen like truck stick guys,
mean-
jump over guys. I mean, those are, like I said, metaphorical murders.
Yeah, but I've also literally seen, what's his face? Who's our third string quarterback?
Mike
I was gonna
White,
say- yeah, Mike White. I've literally seen Mike White
Matt
get murdered by
Milano.
Matt Milano. So,
yeah,
so
that's
I would
true.
put it, if we're talking about witnessing murders, that was the murder to witness.
You're right. All right, one John Cordo there on the John Cordo success scale. Next story, we'll go to Tom Sawyer's best friend, the orphan Huckleberry Finn, in the aptly titled Adventures of Huckleberry
Okay.
Finn. Tom Sawyer's orphan best friend, as I
This is
mentioned,
an
of
obvious
course,
one.
is an obvious one. It's Ray
Yeah,
Davis.
this is Ray Davis. Okay, five.
That's a 5 Cordo.
That's a five Cordos.
That's a 5 Cordo right there. Next one, The Prince and the Pauper. Story about a couple lookalikes, one from high society, one from low society, who switch lives, switch clothes, switch lives. And of course, this feels like an obvious one as well. It's Damar Hamlin and Damar Hamlin's clone.
That's very true. That's I didn't even know Prince and the Pauper was a Mark Twain.
Yes,
But yes,
switching,
this is very,
switching roles for a day.
it's very much King of Spain by Moxie Fruvis.
Oh, of course. Everyone knows Moxie Fruvis.
Well, in our world they do, because Moxie Fruvis, as you know, also has a song called and about Doug Flutie.
Yes, right.
Right, we know that song.
That's right. We know that song.
Yeah.
So Damar and Damar Hamlin's clone, obviously switching bodies, and Damar's clone has been playing very good. I mean, he almost had an interception during the wild card.
I know, really almost closed it out.
Led to a very memeable moment where he's just like on the sideline, like he couldn't believe it, and it's like, if that was anybody but Damar, that would have not been a story. But because it's Damar,
right,
is memeable.
That's how we need it to
shocked
go
face.
down.
Yes, that's how it needed to go down.
I'm gonna give it 4 Cordos.
4 Cordos. I like it. I like it. 2 more. Next one up, a novel called A Tramp Abroad. This one, of course, goes to our man from overseas.
Another obvious one. Yes.
Travis Clayton, who may or may not be a rugby player, who may or may not even be real at this point. I don't know if this is like what's the TV show? Is this like a Banshee situation where he's taking the identity of somebody?
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking, is this just like a classic, like you meet a guy in the back of a restaurant and he gives you your new identity and your new passport because you're like,
right, exactly.
Yeah, it's like that. That's what we're describing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Travis Clayton. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a tramp abroad. Over here in Buffalo. Nobody's
what's 2 very American names, Travis and Clayton. That's your new name.
You would think that a guy who is in the NFL and international program, a program that the NFL wants to promote and encourage and whatnot. And I think they're actually starting, like, I don't know if it's NFL affiliated, but there's an NFL Europe league, like a European American Football League coming back as well. So you think like this guy who was drafted, they would do like a follow-up story about like, hey, how was your first year in America in the NFL? I know you've been hurt, but tell us about your experience with the Bills and the organization and what have you learned? So nothing. There has been no sign, audio or visual, of Travis Clayton anywhere. I don't know if he's a real human being. Just like you mentioned, it might be like here's going in this back alley and here's your new passport. He might be a witness protection guy at this point. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's the story. That's the movie. That's the story. Witness protection into being drafted in the NFL.
Yes.
I like that idea. Clayton. That could really be something.
So what do you think here? 5 Cordos?
Oh, yeah, it's obvious. It's 5 Cordos.
Yeah, 5 Cordos, obviously. Last one, a novel from Mark Twain called Roughing It. There could be many candidates for this. I picked Alec Anderson because he just feels like that guy who's just like roughing everyone up after every play. Like, he's the guy who pancakes his block, and then as the guy is on the ground is just like digging his head into the ground, like, hey, taste this grass, like for no reason. He's just, again, he's a bully, and he's roughing it because he's roughing up other players.
See, I think of roughing it as like, roughing it is, you know, how you're living and like lower standard. So for then, I would give it to Andreessen.
I was thinking,
He's roughing it with his
I was
parents.
thinking, yes, Andreessen's living with his parents. I
Right.
obviously saw in training camp those pictures where he has like Star Wars bed sheets.
Yeah,
Still,
that's roughing it.
yeah. Oh, Andreessen's a good
So
candidate
we'll
for roughing
we'll
it as
split
well.
the difference. I'll say 3
How about we say
Cordos
1 Cordo for Alec Anderson and 5 for Joe Andreessen, and combined it's a
together.
3.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Top of the bell curve.
All right. Good. Those are our Mark Twain comparisons. Again, we talk about good authors, not like crappy authors like Edgar Allan Poe and whatever he means to the Ravens. And I guarantee you, if you interview or ask 80% of Ravens fans that go to the game to name an Edgar Allan Poe novel, no one would have an answer. They could not think of one. So that's how much the Ravens, I think, care
You don't
about
think they
Edgar
would
Allan
say the Raven?
Poe. Probably the Raven. Yes, that's probably the go-to answer.
Right?
Which I feel like is disqualification in itself. That should not
Yeah, if
be
it's like
allowed.
if the answer's in the room on the wall.
Right. Is there really an answer at that point?
Right.
Exactly. Tony, let's wrap it up, though. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to wittyNOTfunny Sports Live here this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you haven't yet, please hit that like. Please show us some love. We really do appreciate whether you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube or Facebook. Like, share, and make sure you comment. Give us a Go Bills as we depart here. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out our sponsor, Traveling Growler, www.travelinggrowler.com. Quality koozie starting at just $5. Awesome gift for your Bills Mafia or just beer drinking loved ones and friends out there. Traveling Growler, shop local, support local, www.travelinggrowler.com. As we mentioned, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, make sure you hit that like, show us some love, leave a comment, share if you can. Make sure you subscribe to everything Built in Buffalo is giving you. If you're listening on audio, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever your fine podcasts are listened to for free. And we always like to say, whether you give us 2 minutes or 2 hours of your time, we greatly appreciate it. And we truly do mean that. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening this week. Where you can find us on social media at wittysports716, right down there. On Twitter or Instagram. Yes, we still call it Twitter, just like we still call it the Ralph. Or maybe on TikTok, who knows, in the next couple of days. But definitely on Facebook at wittyNOTfunny Sports. Make sure you follow us on all platforms, but especially on Twitter. That's where we do most of our work. Tony, that is all I got. We mentioned the t-shirt store. We got to mention it again real quick. Make sure you check that out. Support the podcast today. Look at all those awesome designs. Make sure you go to Teespring, wittyNOTfunny, or search Google on Google, Teespring, wittyNOTfunny, and support the podcast today. Other than that, Tony, send off. Go Bills. Please win.
Mm-hmm.
We have nothing to talk about next week if you don't.
I'm afraid of what I could say or couldn't say.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything. We'll just say
I
Go
say best and
Bills.
I say nothing at all.
That's right. Let's just say Go Bills, and of course, stay witty out there, everyone. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.